What's up, guys? Scoo from Dirt Soldiers MX and the Motocross Training Academy. Welcome back. What I want to show you today is how to carry more speed into the corners and exiting the corner. And I'm going to go back to this video, this slow-mo video of Adam here, because this is a great video and shows a lot of correct techniques, okay? Now, here's the key to carrying more speed into a corner. It's this. It's correct braking techniques and keeping your momentum without over braking. This is the biggest thing. What most amateurs do, and the mistake they make, is they over brake and get out of control and kill their momentum. And once you do that, the whole thing becomes messed up, okay? You can't carry more speed into the corner because you just killed your speed, and you can't have good speed coming out of the corner because you killed that speed, and then you got to do, and I'll explain that here in a second, okay? But that's it. Correct braking techniques and not killing your momentum, keeping momentum by using the correct braking techniques. Braking techniques are huge. They're huge. They're one of the most important things, and a lot of people think brakes are, when you think of brakes, they just think jam the brakes on and hope for the best. That's not it. We gotta become, you gotta learn to use these brakes correctly, okay? And the other aspect of that is when watch the last video, what'll come into play there is your body position. But after that, it's your 5 controls and it's your brakes, all right? So watch that last video, but we're going to assume you have that down, how you go back against the force of braking. Because if you're in the incorrect body position, that'll also kill your momentum because you'll be fighting the bike, you'll get tired, you won't be in the right spot, so it'll create weight in the wrong spot of the bike, and you'll have to compensate for that. Just a bunch of ugly stuff, okay? But watch that last video. Assume you have that down. What it comes down to next to carry more speed in the corners and out of corners is correct braking techniques, all right? And here, I'm going to explain that right now. But now let's watch this video. Here's what it comes down to, guys. You have to use your rear brake as your control. For control, you use your front brake to slow you down the most. You use your front brake to stop you, all right? Not stop you because we don't want to kill momentum, but to slow you down depending on how fast you're coming down through here. Now, so I'm not going to touch on the front brake a ton today. I'll get into that more later. What I want to show you is what it really comes down to is your rear brake, all right? But here's a drill you can practice with your front brake. Just remember, it's what you stop. It's what slows you down the most, okay? But if you lock up the front brake, it's not good. What happens if you lock up the front brake? We're going to either endo, we're going to tuck the front wheel out. So a major thing you got to learn is to use your front brake to slow you down the most without locking it up. And a good way you can do that is to set up 2 cones or take 2 rocks or 2 tree stumps or 2 points and just start running back and forth and using your front brake to stop you. You'll learn real quick how to use that front brake correctly to slow you down the most without locking it up. Because, see, if we lock up the front brake, we usually go down. The rear brake, we can get away with locking that up. So that's why it becomes real easy for amateurs just to jam on that rear brake and lock it up. But I'm going to tell you something here in a second that'll make all the difference in the world, and it might actually shock you if you don't know about it and you don't do it. But it works tremendously, okay? But get used to using that front brake to slow you down. I'll make more videos on that later. What we're going to focus on right now is the rear brake, using it correctly to keep momentum and then get yourself into that corner and then carry more speed out of that corner without killing your momentum. Let's watch Adam here for a second. Let's watch what he does here. I'm going to show you something. Okay? Watch this. Watch as he comes down through here, okay? I love this video. It shows so much good stuff. Watch as he starts to brake and watch his rear tire, okay? Here we go. Now look, okay, he starts to brake right there. See his foot going down? Now look at this wheel, still moving. Locks up a little bit, he lets it, keeps moving. Locks up a tiny bit, keeps moving. Watch that again. This is very important. Braking, locks up when it comes off the ground. He realizes that. Motocross is a lot about feeling, getting a good feel for it. Let's go back again. This is super important. There he's, boom, he hits the brakes right there a little bit. Now watch, he's on the brakes. I'm going to tell you about something here in a second. The tiny bit of lock up, back on. Here's the key, guys. We do not want to lock up that rear brake ever, unless it's a controlled thing, unless we're doing it for a reason, like a brake slide, like you used to do on your BMX bike. And we're not going to jump into that right now, but other than that, you do not want to lock up your rear brake. And this is a fine technique, and it takes some practice. But if you can get used to doing this, which you have to get used to doing it if you want to race motocross and you want to be good, it's called a rear brake drag. And what you do is you drag the rear brake. You put a feather on the rear brake, okay? And it's a very delicate thing because, it's disc brakes. They'll lock up. But the key is you want to come off it. It's like an anti-lock system on a car. That's why it does that. When that rear brake's locked up, you lose control, okay? So what you do is you see he's doing it right now. Look at that foot down on that thing and the wheel's spinning. There it comes off the ground a tiny bit. He realizes that, and it locks. But that's no problem. That wheel's off the ground. You can lock it up, But he has his body weight back to try to keep it down. But he realizes as soon as that thing comes down, look at that. He releases it. Look at the timing of that. It's awesome. Okay. The rear brake drag. The rear brake is for control. The rear brake is for control. What it does is, along with your, when I explained in that last video, your body weight back there, what it does is it actually pulls down your suspension a little bit, and it keeps that bike on the ground. That wheel stays on the ground, okay? And the other thing it does is it doesn't kill your momentum. One of the biggest things these guys do compared to amateurs is they don't kill momentum. Momentum is huge, okay? And what happens is, say for example, I'm trying to think of a good example. Say you're stuck in the snow. I live here in Pennsylvania. We have snow. This has just come off the top of my head, so it might not be the greatest example. But as you're rocking the car back and forth trying to get out, and you're stuck somewhere, that's building momentum. And once you get that momentum built up and start to move, it's a lot easier to get unstuck and keep moving. That's what these guys do. They don't want to kill their momentum because they realize if they kill momentum, there's a lot of ugly things that come along with that, okay? I'll explain that more here in a second. But what you want to do is you want to learn to drag this rear brake, feather this rear brake, and not over brake. You do not want to over brake. Over brake's the worst thing you can do, okay? And you over brake by locking up that rear wheel. Okay, now here comes this. Here's a great way to learn to not over brake and to brake correctly. And this might be the shocker to you, but here it is. I'm going to throw it at you. And I'm going to tell you right now, these guys do this, every one of them. James Stewart, Chad Reed, Ricky Carmichael, the whole 9 yards, myself included. This is one of the biggest things myself that I've learned that helped me tremendously. There's two different kinds of guys, and I'll let you know this. There's the guys that have a hard time carrying speed coming into the corner, or there's the guy that's real good coming into the corner, but they have a hard time carrying speed out of the corner. And that always comes down to braking coming into the corner. It always comes down to braking. It always comes down to usually over braking or not using your brakes correctly, okay? Here's what you can do. Here it is. Downshift with the clutch out. Do not use your clutch to downshift. You do not need to use your clutch to downshift. And brake as much as you can without using your clutch. Don't brake with your clutch. That's it. That honestly, guys, you won't believe what this will do for you. It's amazing what this will do for you. The clutch is only there as a trigger. The clutch is there just to deliver power when you need it, like a trigger, like the trigger of a gun. That's why your finger has to stay on it. That's why I'm not going to get into this hard either, but you got to learn to find the sweet spot on your clutch just to the point right before it engages. And that's where you want to go to with the clutch if you need it as a trigger. You don't want to be at the mercy of the throttle, just to roll the throttle on and hope it delivers the power you want. You want to use your clutch as a trigger, but you want to downshift. These guys do not downshift with a clutch. They don't do it. What happens is, and what a lot of amateurs do, and if you correct this mistake, you'll see vast improvements, is that amateurs will pull it, and this is me. Honestly, let me tell you, this is me too. When I corrected this technique, man, it made all the difference in the world. I used to pull the clutch in, and what a lot of amateurs do is they pull the clutch in completely to the grip. Guess what this forces and allows you to do? It allows you to over brake, because what's going to happen? What's not going to happen? Your bike's not going to stall. If you have your clutch in, your bike will not stall. So it just forces you to jam on them rear brakes. If you downshift with the clutch out and brake with the clutch out, guess what it forces you to do? Brake correctly. You have to, because if you over brake, you're gonna stall the bike, guaranteed. If you jam on that rear brake and lock up that rear wheel with the clutch out, you're gonna stall the bike. This is a great thing to practice. Listen, don't get me wrong. There's times where you're gonna this takes a lot of practice, and you have to really get used to this technique. But once you master this thing, it's amazing. And like there's times here where Adam's bike locks up. Well, when it does, you've got to get really good at being ready for that clutch, that feeling thing. And when it locks up, you pull it right to the sweet spot really quick. It's a fast movement. But if you start practicing downshifting with the clutch out, these guys never downshift. Listen, you don't need to clutch to downshift. You do. I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. I think fast here. You don't have to pull your clutch in to downshift. They don't do it, okay? There's no pressure on the motor. Matter of fact, most of these guys, and this is an advanced technique, do not even use the clutch to upshift. That's a guaranteed fact. I do it myself. I've learned this technique. It's awesome. You do not need your clutch to even upshift, okay? But you definitely don't need it to downshift. And if you downshift with your clutch out and brake with your clutch out, it'll force you. You have to brake correctly. And it'll force you, as you learn and practice it, to use the clutch correctly. The clutch never gets pulled fully in. You'll start to learn as you stall the bike sometimes. Okay, so you take it out and you set up 2 cones and you start practicing this technique. Well, guess what? You're going to start stalling the bike. It's going to happen because you're probably used to over braking. Well, what you're going to learn is to use that clutch just real quick as a trigger to pull it to the sweet spot and then release it real quick. And you're also going to learn to brake with the clutch, to leave it completely out, and you're going to find the word am I looking for here? You're going to find how to do it correctly, how to do it smoothly and nice and good, okay? It's an awesome technique, guys. I'm telling you, apply it. So what this will do is the overall carrying speed into this corner is it forces you to brake correctly and doesn't kill momentum. Let's look at this in an amateur perspective and what happens. What they do is they brake, over brake, have their clutch pulled in, the rear wheel's locked up, it's either sliding to the side, they're in a bad body position, it's just all out of control, right? Well, guess what? You just killed tons of your momentum. When you brake correctly with your clutch out, you're just dragging this rear brake. For control, it actually sucks down the suspension too over these breaker bumps. Listen, once you learn this technique, you'll use it everywhere. You'll use it on uphills, over breaker bumps, because it's awesome, man. It keeps your back from popping up, and it's a real good technique. But an amateur will be all out of control, kill their momentum. Now, this is where it goes into. So there you are. If you're doing this all correctly, you carry more speed and you don't kill your momentum coming into the corner. What's that do for you? What that does for you is you get into this corner and you're going to exit out of the corner. If you already have momentum built, it's so much easier to add throttle on top of that momentum and just be smooth and get out of there quick. Because what happens is the amateur over brakes, he's all out of control coming in, and then his first reaction is right here, where Adam is right here, is to hammer on the throttle. Hammer it on, because that's what you think. That's what I used to think. Hammer the throttle on. Well, guess what? You had your momentum was all, you just killed all your momentum. So now you're going from being very slow to applying too much power to the back wheel. The bike's leaned over like this. Now you're even more out of control. The ass end slides out. What are we always looking for in motocross? Another thing we're always looking for is good traction. We need good traction, right? This is how you keep good traction, by keeping your momentum, by not over braking, by using the controls correctly, and by using your body position. So you're coming out, you have the momentum built because you did everything correctly coming in, you carry more speed coming in. As you transition out of the corner, you keep that momentum to kind of suck you through the corner. And I'll get into more techniques. You can mess that up in this corner by not laying the bike over far enough and stuff like that. We're not going to touch on that now. But, so you kept your momentum, you pull yourself through there. Now it's so much easier just to roll that throttle on top of the momentum, nice good traction, and you roll out of there quick. See how it works, guys? See, coming into the corner is all about your braking and correct braking techniques. Coming out of the corners, all about building on top of your momentum that's already there. The amateur, what will he do? He will have this all messed up. His first reaction now is to get back on the throttle hard. He'll apply it like crazy, have too much power to the back wheel, lose traction, and then guess what he has to do? Shut it all back down and start over again. Just 4 guys just passed him. He's all out of control. This is the difference between someone like Adam and the pros. When they make a mistake, they realize what's most important is that momentum and correct braking techniques, throttle control, correct body position. So they'll make the mistake, but they'll get back to building up that momentum, even if it takes them a second or two to longer. You won't see an amateur. It's why you never see. Did you ever watch an amateur at a race? And what they'll do is, and I'm guilty myself, guys, don't get me wrong, I'm right there with you. I used to do this till I mastered it. Your first reaction is just, boom, you nail the throttle, and you can see it in their body position. They're all out of control. That's why you never see that in an amateur, a pro, because they realize what they want their momentum built back up. They try everything to not kill their momentum by correct braking or correct control techniques and body position. But if they do once in a while, then they know they got to get back that momentum built back up, because that's the key to it. And it's all so much easier once that momentum's built back up. So that's why you won't see them, if they make a mistake, they won't go crazy getting back on the throttle. They'll build their momentum back up. And that touches on slowing down to go faster. That's what it means to slow down to go faster. You slow it down and feel this stuff and get it correctly. That'll slow you down. But in the long run, you'll get it all correct and do it correctly, and you'll build momentum. You'll build speed. You'll get faster, okay? That's it, guys. It all comes down to this braking, coming into the corner, doing the correct braking, and the way to practice that is one of the best things I can tell you is start downshifting without the clutch. Yes, it won't hurt your motor. And brake as much as you can. Brake as much as you can with the clutch out. Do not lock up this rear wheel. That's when you lose control. That's going to carry more speed coming into this corner, and that's momentum. That's going to keep your momentum. Use your clutch only at the sweet spot. Don't pull completely in. I was terrible at this. This is the technique I had to learn. I came in balls to the walls really fast into a corner, but I would pull my clutch completely to my grip, and at the very end, I would over brake like crazy. I would get on the brakes late. So I usually could pass a guy coming down through here, but then I was terrible at getting back out of the corner because I would over brake, kill my momentum, and I would do that thing of getting back on the throttle really hard, and it was so hard for me because I would lose traction like crazy. The only time that works out is if you're in something that's loamy and really good traction. It's still not where you want to do it. You don't want to do it. You want to build momentum, and then everything becomes so much easier once the momentum's built. You can actually let momentum, look at this video is in slow motion, and look how he goes through. If we play this fast, Adam lets momentum pull him through here, and then he just adds the controls on top of that and makes it so much easier for him. That's the key, guys. Coming into the corner is all about correct braking techniques. Start practicing that. Your rear brake, learn to drag it, feather it. Do not lock it up. If you do lock it up, get off of it quickly. Use your clutch if you need to, just at the sweet spot. That'll carry more speed coming in. Use that momentum that you kept by doing the correct braking techniques to carry you through the corner, and then roll your throttle on top of that momentum to have nice, good traction, not lose traction by over throttling. Just build on that momentum and power out. All right, guys. I know I get these videos long, but I really want you to get value from them, really understand and apply these techniques. It'll make all the difference in the world. Listen, go to the Motocross Training Academy. I just built a whole new page there. Check it out. I think it's really, really awesome. If you guys want more of these videos, sign up at that page with your name and email, and you're going to get 4 videos right away. Plus, you'll be on my list, and I can send you more videos and all my tips that I send out. I'd really appreciate it. Just go there and do that. It'll help you tremendously. If you're into this and you want more of these tips, that's what you got to do. I'll leave a link below. Talk to you guys soon.